Well, the Eagles seem to be getting exactly what they needed before their matchup with the 49ers, and they have some major advantages, as not only does it seem like their biggest star on offense will return, but they also should be able to take advantage of several key mismatches. So let's break that down. Plus, the final injury updates from the Niners offered some good, some bad, and some surprising news. And what do the Eagles have to do to stop Christian McCaffrey, and why could that be one of, if not the biggest key to winning this game? Well, let's talk about that and everything else going into this Eagles vs 49ers playoff matchup starting right now. The NFL playoffs are finally here, and for the Eagles, this is the start of what they hope will be their second straight playoff run that ends in a Super Bowl victory, as the Birds will begin their postseason journey to go back-to-back on Sunday afternoon at the Link. And of course, the first team that stands in their way is their old rival from a few years ago in the San Francisco 49ers. And I just could not be more excited. So drop a like down below if you're excited too. Let's see if we can hit 500 likes on this video, because that would really help me out a ton. And there's just a lot of storylines to talk about going into this game, just matchup-wise, which we'll get into that. But we also can't discount the advantage that the Eagles are going to have simply by playing at home, because the Link during the playoffs is a different animal. I mean, it gets crazy in there, and, you know, the Niners, they know they're going to be coming into a hostile environment. They know how tough Eagles fans are. They know how electric the playoff atmosphere in the Link can get. So, again, no doubt, that gives Philly an advantage in this one.
It has to do with how loud that crowd is, and they're going to be going. You got to give them a reason to be quiet, and if not, it's extremely challenging place to play. You're not going to be able to hear, and we got to expect that.
I mean, it's a great environment, man. I mean, the Eagle fans, you know, love their team. They bring it every single home game. Like, you feel it when you're there in terms of, you know, them getting loud. The environment's going to be rocking, that's for sure.
The playoffs, there's just an air about it. I'm sure at the stadium this week it's going to have it.
In January, it's special, man. It's electric. I don't know. I can't explain it other than like electricity in the air. Like, you feel that goosebumps. You just have to be there. And so, you know, for us heading into this game, it's just another game. That's what I tell the rookies. But I tell them, like, hey, you're about to see for the first time what January football in Philly's like.
100% the playoff atmosphere in Philly is just different, and it's a challenge that the Niners are going to have to deal with. And the crowd noise is just one more advantage for an Eagles defense that I feel like already has the edge in this matchup. Heck, I feel like they'd have the advantage of going against any offense because, as I talked about in my last video, Vic Fangio is an absolute problem. I mean, Kyle Shanahan himself said that Fangio's the best there is when it comes to scheme, game planning, and just getting his defenses to play at a high level. And that the Eagles defense has down the stretch of this season. I mean, Philly's defense has just been absolutely suffocating down the stretch run, shutting down some of the NFL's top offenses like the Lions and the Bills, while shutting out the Raiders and pretty much dominating every offense that is put in front of them. And that's while the offense has struggled and forced the defense to stay out on the field for way longer than they should have been. So, yeah, they've been pretty dominant. And I mean, the overall numbers on the season might not fully show it, but this Eagles defense is easily one of the best remaining units in the league. I mean, they've been good in pretty much every single category down the stretch run, whether you want to talk about sacks, forcing turnovers, run defense, pass defense, holding teams out of the end zone. Like, they've been pretty much good everywhere. And now, going into the playoffs, they are playing their best ball. So I'm definitely confident that they can slow down this Niners offense. But they are going to have their hands full, because the 49ers offense obviously does present a ton of challenges, from the creative scheme of Kyle Shanahan to the talented group of players that they got. It's definitely not going to be easy for Vic Fangio's unit.
What are the challenges going against like McCaffrey and George Kittle?
Oh, they got a good explosive offense. They got a good explosive offense. They're great at what they do, and they work well together. So we got to make sure we do what we do. Be physical, have our technique, and play our game. It's playoff ball. They got a good explosive offense. They got a lot of, like I said, they good at doing what they do. Not no team in the league do what they do with the fullback, with the run game, with what they do in the run game, and all things like that. So we got to make sure we have good eyes, good technique, good footwork, and physical and execute at a high level.
Yeah, they got obviously the running back, quarterback, tight ends, and receivers. They all work well together. They all block in the run game. A lot of shifts, a lot of motions, things like that. So eye discipline is going to be key with the different motions going back and forth, and just playing our brand of football.
Again, there's obviously a lot of things that you got to pay attention to with this Niners offense. Just with all that talent combined with the impressive scheme they got that's designed to throw a defense off balance, just with all the motion and creativity they got going on. Like, the Eagles defense is definitely going to have to remain very disciplined. They got to communicate well, and they got to fly to the football and make good tackles. But I think when it comes to this Niners offense, the number one thing that you got to pay attention to is Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's obviously incredible, an absolute superstar at the running back position and a future Hall of Famer. This year, he had another absolutely insane season, putting up over 2,000 yards from scrimmage, which included 1,200 rush yards, as well as over 100 catches and almost 1,000 yards receiving. I mean, he almost became the first player with multiple 1,000 seasons in NFL history. So, yeah, safe to say, McCaffrey's probably the Eagles' biggest challenge in this matchup. And for the Niners, if they're going to win this game, McCaffrey's probably going to have to be the driving force.
Christian's probably he's pretty much like a receiver as a running back. Use him in a lot of different ways. So that makes it difficult, especially when he lines up in the backfield, to find him in our passing game matches.
The kryptonite to Fangio might be Christian McCaffrey, because they're going to do this two high safety shells. They're going to do this thing where they're going to give you the middle of the field, and McCaffrey's the best in the world at what he does.
Yeah.
A little screen pass and then go. I cannot wait to see the chess match. Shanahan versus Fangio, and how Shanahan uses McCaffrey. I thought last week McCaffrey was going to be a game breaker. He did not.
No. Yeah.
Silenced by Mike McDonald's defense. Yeah. How is McCaffrey going to perform against Fangio's D?
McCaffrey versus the Eagles defense is possibly the biggest matchup to watch in this one, and if the Eagles can slow him down, they probably get the win. And Schrager made a good point in saying that McCaffrey was bottled up by Seattle in Week 18, which he was. So that shows that it's possible to slow him down. So for the Eagles, it's just going to be about getting into the backfield on runs, which they can. And then, whether it's a run play or a pass play and CMC gets the ball, they're just going to have to recognize it, fly to him, and wrap up and make some good tackles. Limit yards after the catch. I mean, that's going to be huge in this game. They got to recognize where he's at on the field at all times. And just overall, they cannot afford to miss tackles on him. I mean, again, you cannot give up these extra yards, because if there's anything we know about CMC, it's that he's going to make you pay. And then the other weapon they really got to worry about is tight end George Kittle, as of course he's one of the best tight ends in all of football, and he can just be a mismatch nightmare for linebackers and safeties around the league.
Kittle's just been dominant his whole career. Catches everything that's thrown his way. Knows how to get open. He's got him and the quarterback work well together.
Luckily, though, the Eagles do have some good players to match up with him. I mean, you obviously just saw Coop there. He can definitely hold his own if matched up with Kittle. They got some solid safeties in Reed Blankenship and Marcus Epps who can hold their own. And then their linebackers and Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean are obviously great as well. So I feel pretty good about the guys that the Eagles have in their defense in general. But again, Kittle and McCaffrey are just really, really good. So we'll see how it goes. And then, of course, we can't forget about Brock Purdy either, as he's been playing some good football this season. And he can do everything. I mean, he can beat you with his arm, and he also has the ability to escape and extend plays with his legs. And that's actually something that the Eagles defense has struggled to contain this season, so they're going to need to be ready for it in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think Purdy does a great job of, being mobile, the accurate ball. He's, he kind of reminds me a little bit of like Mahomes, Allen, in the way that he can, kind of make plays with his feet and extend plays of that nature. I actually played against him in his first NFL game, so that was pretty cool. He beat us, so looking to get some revenge. Even
though it's definitely not going to be easy, I actually do feel really confident that Vic Fangio's defense is going to be able to slow down Kyle Shanahan's offense. I mean, I just feel really good about it. Where I do have my doubts, though, is on the other side of the ball. I mean, the Eagles' offensive struggles this season have been well documented. Like, I don't got to get too much into it, but they still have the matchup advantage in this game. I mean, the Niners' defense isn't all that great to begin with, and they are super banged up, but still, good to hear that the Birds aren't going to take them lightly.
They might be beat up, but they're still a great team over there. You watch film, I think a great game to watch is them versus the coach. Jonathan Taylor is the hell of a back. You can make an argument the best back in the NFL this year. And they did a really good job against him.
Great game. When you have what seems when you watch the film, some hungry dogs over there, some guys who are looking to prove themselves. And this is the NFL. Everyone, doesn't matter if you're a starter or not, you have to go in there and prove yourself every week. So for me, when you have a great scheme and you have hungry dogs, hey, that's a dangerous team. And so, yeah, they may not have the names on defense, but hey, that's the guy that you should be worried about. That's the guy that I never overlook.
No doubt, the 49ers defense plays hard and they are coached well, but just from a pure personnel and production standpoint, they are clearly outmatched in this one. But, to be fair, the Eagles offense tends to have the personnel advantage in pretty much every matchup that they have, and that hasn't really mattered too much. But in this matchup specifically, they really do have the clear edge for multiple reasons. And as I talked about in my last video, it really does all start with the run game, because we know if the Eagles can get that going, that opens up everything else, and it sets up their play action and pass game really, really nicely. I mean, basically, if the run game's flowing, the offense is flowing. And in this game, the run game could not have a more perfect opportunity because, as we all know at this point, the Niners are super, super thin at the linebacker position. Now, they did get some decent news on Friday, I guess, which we'll get to in a minute, but still, the Niners are going to be relying on some backups in this game at linebacker, and they have struggled to stop the run in general these past 5 games, allowing over 100 yards on the ground in 4 of those 5. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, that offensive line's well rested. It seems like they're getting Lane Johnson back, fingers crossed. Again, more on that in a second. And, we saw them get the run game going with Saquon Barkley a few times late in the season, so it's possible. They just got to commit to it and keep the Niners off balance with how they run the football.
I still think he's elite. I know his production isn't what it was a year ago, but he's still a damn good football player. He's still a threat to break it any time he touches the ball. Stoutland is still one of the best O-line coaches in all of football and creating good angles and creating space for the backs. So, but they can still run the ball as good as anybody.
My suggestion for a successful day running the football would be, number 1, run out of under center formations, because statistically, the Eagles have been very successful doing that, averaging 4.9 yards per carry on those runs, but also mix it up because you don't want to get too predictable, and then also utilize your other weapons you got. I mean, bring Tank Bigsby in for a nice change of pace from Barkley because, as I talked about in my last video, those two complement each other very well, their play styles are different, and it's something that could throw this beat-up Niners defense off balance. And then also get Jalen Hurts on the move with some nice designed runs as well, because that's only going to make them more unpredictable. I mean, you do all that, and I am 100% confident the Eagles will have a successful day running the football against this banged-up Niners defense. They got to commit to it. And then switching over to the pass game, the Eagles have a big advantage there as well, given that the Niners are the 25th ranked pass defense in football, and they're also dead last when it comes to sacking the quarterback, meaning more time for Jalen Hurts to sit back in the pocket and find A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert down the field, not to mention that, as we know, Jalen tends to turn it up a notch in the playoffs. So, again, the Eagles have the clear matchup advantage here. A lot of it is just going to hinge on whether Kevin Patullo can get his crap together. I mean, we know that the OC has been an issue all season. We know the play calling and the sequencing hasn't always been there, but there have been flashes of it and stretches where things do look good. So hopefully KP can put together his best game plan for Sunday, and then for the players, they just got to go out and execute it. And again, it'll sure help to get Lane Johnson back in the lineup. Now, according to the final injury report on Friday, Lane is officially listed as questionable, while pretty much every other crucial player will play, so that's good news. But, I guess it would be better for Lane to be listed as, say, probable or, not given an injury designation at all. But, during practice, at least from the footage that we have, that foot looks pretty good to me. So my guess is that he will play, fingers crossed. And also, pretty much every reporter at this point is saying that they would be shocked if Lane didn't play. So, that's obviously incredible news because we know how important Lane is. And then for the 49ers, pretty much every guy whose status was in question is still just that. From Trent Williams to Ricky Pearsall to Dee Winters to Luke Gifford, all of them are listed as questionable for this game. Now, Williams did practice this week on Thursday and Friday and was trending in the right direction, so I'd say he has a solid chance to play, while for guys like Pearsall, Winters, and Gifford, they all weren't practicing to end the week, and 2 of them, that being Pearsall and Winters, didn't practice at all. So not a great sign for their availability on Sunday. And then the big surprise is that their starting cornerback, Renardo Green, was added to the injury report on Friday and listed as questionable, which, if he can't go, that would obviously just be another blow to an already banged-up Niners defense. But overall, I really do feel confident in the Eagles' ability to get the job done in this one. I mean, I think they have the advantage in so many areas, and everything is right there for them to win this game.
I think we will win. I think that our defense is that good. I think that we're home, which is an amazing advantage. The Link in the playoffs has proven to be a very hostile environment to try and win a playoff game in. And I think offensively we're going to play well. I do. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to go out there and play well. He plays well in the vast majority of playoff games he plays. And I think we're going to run the ball well. I think we didn't do a great job against Buffalo, but if you go back and watch that tape, the vast majority of that stuff is all comes down to communication and proper technique. And I think these guys got in their head. I think that McDermott was doing some things where he's putting the safety down, they're moving the front, and it was a very poor game. But physically, I think the Eagles' offensive line is getting better. I think they will be better with a week of rest, to what Baldy was saying.
Yeah.
I think we're going to come out here and run the ball pretty well. I think we'll have play actions off it. I think we're going to run Jalen Hurts, which is an advantage that is a major advantage for us. You talk about getting tempo going. A lot of it is getting that first down. I heard that coming in. You guys were talking about that. You come in, let's say you have a 3-and-out. The next drive, the second down or first down you have, do a quarterback run, and you're guaranteed to have numbers and angles, right? And it's a gift. So you do that, and then all of a sudden you get a first down. Then you can go into tempo. This offense opens up when Jalen Hurts is a threat. I think he will be in these playoffs. I think the offensive line is going to play better, and I think our defense is very, very good. I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
San Fran's a great team, but I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles are every bit up to the task, and I think they will win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with Kelsey, so I'm going to pick the Birds to win by a final score of 24-17. But you guys can give me your score predictions down in the comments below. And also, while you're at it, if you don't want to miss my reaction to this game or just any other Eagles content that I got coming, hopefully throughout the rest of these playoffs and into the offseason, then make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And also leave a like on this video to show some support, because it really does help me out so much. Let's see if we can hit 500 likes today, and also hit the hype button, because that really does help me out a ton as well. And if you do want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.